The movie begins with the September 11 attacks on World Trade Center on television. A middle-aged man walks inside the house carrying a shopping bag full of cell phones. As he begins to praise Salah, he is apprehended by the U.S. Army and brought to the Guantanamo Bay detention facility. He was placed in a cage in Camp Delta, strictly supervised by the military. 8 years later, when Army Private First Class Amy Cole and other recently enlisted Army fellows arrive at the camp, she learns that some of the inmates have been there for the past 8 years. When Corporal Ransdell goes over the guidelines for switching shifts every 12 hours. He tells them that that is their war zone, as the detainees will not hesitate to attack them, and that they will not only prevent them from leaving the cells, but they are there to prevent them from dying or committing suicide. They have to conduct a suicide watch every 3 minutes. Now Private Rico Cruz asks him how often they move the prisoners. The corporal corrects him, saying that they will not refer to them as prisoners, they are going to call them detainees. He asks Amy why they cannot call them the prisoners. Amy explains to him that the prisoners are subject to Geneva Conventions, but detainees are not. After that, the corporal shows them the facility centers, room control center, and the mess of the camp. There he gets a report on the radio that some detainee is found causing trouble in the cell. He responds that they are coming, and then he asks them if anyone wants to see how the initial reaction force works. Amy raises her hand to join his team. The IRF team gets ready and moves to bring the detainee under control. They go forward to tackle him when they get there, but Amy won't touch him. He strikes her face cover with his elbow, causing her to stumble backward as she gathers herself to join them. They manage to catch him somehow. When her fellow guards remove the prisoner from his cell, he spits in her face. Amy becomes enraged and strikes him back. He's taken into another cell and tied to a chair. Her fellow soldiers question her about what happened to her lip as they follow her back to the base. She details them, saying that she was following her IRF team members to control a detainee and got hit by him. The next day, she prepares to go to the camp. They assign her the duty to give out the books to the detainees. She pushes the book cart from door to door, asking them if they need anything to read. When she reaches a cell where the detainee was having a pee, he shouts at her when he finds her seeing him. Corporal Ransdell comes forward and shouts back at him to remain silent. The detainee says he wants a book, but Ransdell would have to give it to him instead of a woman. The corporal explains to her that the detainees do not like to be watched when they are naked, and they even do not like women doing work there. After that, she pushes the cart forward and reaches the cell of a man, which was shown at the beginning of the movie, named Ali Amir. He returns a book and asks for another book on Harry Potter. Amy gets impressed by his choice of books because it was not religious. Amy now claims that there is nothing similar in her cart. Ali goes on a tirade about how, for the past 2 years, he has been pleading for the most recent Harry Potter book. When all they have is what is on the cart, she becomes irritated and asks him if he wants a book or not. After that, he begs her to exercise patience and give him an Azkaban book. When Amy inquires as to whether the book is Arab, he corrects her, stating that it is actually Harry Potter book number 3. As the corporal arrives and observes them conversing, he takes the basket out of the cell and requests that Amy leave. Ali shouts at him, saying that they were having some conversation, but he spoiled it. He says to him that he thinks they do not give him the last Harry Potter book on purpose, to drive him crazy. He yells at him, saying that he is not going crazy. Amy begins making rounds of the cell the next day in order to observe the cells. He strikes up a conversation with her once more when she comes to check on Ali. How is she liking it there so far? He asks. He addresses her as Blondie and inquires about her origins. She ignores her and walks away. He now introduces himself to her, and they discuss religion and Harry Potter. This time she answers, stating that she believed he had only read the Quran. He admitted that he does, but he also enjoys reading other books. He claims to read the Bible as well, and he thinks that because it contains tales of armies and magic, the first half of the book is worthwhile and fascinating, but the other half is not very interesting. She replies that if he will not disrespect her holy book, she will not do his. Now he asks how she picked her Christianity. She ignores it. He says he knows that it was from her parents. She gets angry, shuts him up, and compares him to Hannibal Lecter. When he asks her who that is, she tells him that he was a man in the movie that was very talkative. He says something in Arabic, and she sees every other detainee start covering their Quran. Now Ali asks for some water and promises to stop talking. She opens the hole in his cell door and gives him the water bottle. Suddenly, Ali throws a cup filled with feces at her. She calls the IRF team and tells them to watch them carefully when they cover the Qurans, because they're about to do something after that. After that, she goes to the sink to wash her uniform. Colonel Drummond asks her about the incident and gives her the vinegar to remove the smell. The next day, Amy's unit goes on a yacht fishing. Corporal Ransdell tries to flirt with Amy, but she turns him down. At night, Amy drinks with them at the beach party and excuses them to go to the washroom. She finds an adult magazine there, and meanwhile, Ransdell comes there following her. She kisses him, showing him the magazine. When he tries to undress her, she asks him to stop. And when he does not stop, she pushes him away and leaves the washroom. In the next scene, Amy reaches the camp and sees that Ali's cell is being investigated. She gets fascinated by the beautiful hand-drawn strokes on his cup. The guard also takes that cup for investigation. Ali is seen being transferred to different cells every 2 hours as his punishment. After a while, they take him back to his cell. As she is curious about his interests, Amy sneaks to find his files. When she finds it, she sees his injured photos and records. She learns that she has a history of self-harm and torture. The next day, Amy returns to her rounds and finds Ali doing some artwork on his Sudoku puzzle. He asks her if she knows this puzzle and tells her that as he reads all the books, he likes testing his knowledge through these puzzles. He then asks her to answer that puzzle, but she refuses. He snaps and calls out Amy for being cold to him. He gets angry and flashes his work in the toilet. He yells at her, saying that they think they are good guys and we're bad guys. He says the Americans are real terrorists for locking them up for years. Amy shuts him up again, and when he calms down, she tells him that she looked for his Harry Potter book, and she could not find it in the archives. However, Ali claims that one of the guards told him that there's a 7th book, so he believes there is one. She says that the guard fooled him. He then apologizes for demanding the book, and he confesses that he's been waiting to know the ending of Harry Potter for so long that it's making him crazy. After some time, Amy guards Ali. While he was playing with a ball inside the cage, they both get friendly at this time. Amy tells him that she can get him transferred to a suitable facility if he stops acting weird. But he does not care about the military rules. He argues with her, saying that it means surrendering his rights to the one who captured him. Suddenly, Mahmoud, with guards around him, appears behind and yells at him for talking with Amy. She notices that they don't like it when a detainee talks to the guards. Then Corporal calls her, and he says the guards don't like Cole talking to him as well. Ransdell didn't like her talking to detainee, so he lied about his men being occupied with some other stuff there. He then asks her instead to watch Ali's shower. She argues with him, saying that it is against the standard operating procedure of the army and Arabic social norms, but he ignores her. The next moment, he takes them to the shower fence and forces Amy to watch him bathe. At night, her fellow soldiers come to her and ask her why she is drinking. Amy tries to sympathize with Cruz, who was supposed to watch the showers with Ransdell, as they were too busy cleaning up a detainee cell. Cruz gets confused and tells her that the block was peaceful all the time. Amy realizes that Ransdell lied to her, and then she files a report against Ransdell at night. The next day, she was summoned to their colonel's office. The colonel sides with Ransdell and discredits her report, saying that the detainee was not uncomfortable with her watching him. He says he found her being too friendly with Ali. He dismisses her, saying that there will be a hearing about their case next month. For some time in the movie, she continues to do her duty to guard the detainees and becomes more isolated from the other soldiers. In the next scene, while she was cleaning the cell, a soldier comes there with her transfer letter. She gets transferred to the night shift in the camp. Ali looks at the clock outside of his cell and asks the guard if the time is right. When he says it is right, he asks him where the blondie is, but he ignores him. At night, after arriving at the camp, Amy begins her round checks. As she walks by Ali's cell, she notices that he is dozing. Ali calls out to her as she walks away, then gets up. Amy kindly advises him to return to sleep, but he complains that the constant light in the cell prevents him from ever getting any good sleep. She tells him that she tipped off someone when he questions her about why she was there. The definition of snitch on is beyond Ali's comprehension. When she explains the word's meaning to him, he understands that Ransdell was the target of her tip. Ali asks her why she came there in the camp in the first place. She turns the question on him, and he assures her that he was not with any terrorist group. Then they start to talk about their hometowns. Ali tells him that he is from Germany, while Amy simply says that she is from a small town. After some time, Ali asks her what date it was, and she tells him that it's July 14th. He then realizes that she will be leaving next month. She asks him how he knows this. He tells her that they do the guards change every August. He asks her if she would try to get assigned to the camp again, to which she says no. And he mentions that she has learned a lot from her time there, and that the new guards would eventually learn too. Ali reminds her that the two of them are enemies, and he then gets his Quran and takes out a blade that was hidden between the pages. When she sees him holding the knife, she tries to radio the control room. but he warns her that if she tries to radio the other guards, then he will use the knife immediately. Abby tells her that he is tired of being imprisoned there. He knows that no one is coming to take him out of that cell. He also says that one person in one of their interrogations proved him innocent, but they never freed him. After that, Amy tells him her name and that she's from Moorhaven, Florida. She then asks Ali if there's a zoo in Bremen, which surprises him. Amy explains that she went to the zoo when she was a child because she wanted to see something outside of her town. She tells him that she felt uncomfortable then to see the animal locked up in small cages. Eventually, she tells him that they should have the chance to be free. In the next scene, Ali cries and then gives the blade to Amy. She holds his hand as she cries too. She packs up her things from her room before leaving. The movie ends when a soldier knocks on his door. He gets up and sees that it's a new soldier who's trying to give out books. Ali notices something in the cart and tells the soldier to give it to him. He found out that it is the last Harry Potter book. He looks at the cover page where there's a note from Amy. The next moment, Amy leaves the camp while Ali sits on his bed reading. So, what do you think of this movie? Did you enjoy the recap? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. One like and subscribe is highly appreciated. Share this video to your friends and family too. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next videos.